JHK here for the AllStar, and join me right now is XMMA bantamweight contender Cody Gibson. Cody, thank you so much, man, for the time. Again, you are outdoors, man. You love that place.
This is my oasis away from the kids. So
Okay, all right, sounds good. Now let's get into your last fight, man. You were years away from competition. You had an opponent change leading up, and all it took you was 44 seconds. You look back at that performance, the training camp. Was there any adversity that we did not see that you could reveal to us now?
yeah, I actually had a shoulder injury about a week before the fight, and I think it was just tendonitis, like because it kept getting sore after workouts, and then I would ice it, and it would start to feel better, and so I would go work out again, and then it kept getting sore, and then even in the back in the warm up. I was hitting some mitts, and then it was like I got that feeling again where it was sore and it was like hurt, like not like excruciating, but like it bothers you. And so it was a little bit of a mind. I never had that experience, like literally in the back, like, all right, I need to stop hitting mitts because my shoulder's kind of bothering me. Um, but I haven't had the same issues this camp. I haven't really had much shoulder pain. So, knock on wood that doesn't happen again. But other than that, no, I think even though it was only 44 seconds, the whole process of training, getting ready for a fight and everything like that, in retrospect, the task of fighting Dodson, first fight back in 2 years, was a big task. And so the fact that I got to go through a full camp and everything, the traveling, the lead up to the fight, the weight cut, all that stuff. I got to experience it again before having this big fight. So I think in retrospect, it was a blessing in disguise.
You talk about the shoulder injury. You go in there. Did it change anything in your approach right when you got into the cage? Like there's some urgency for you to go in there and start fast, and also you're off that long layoff.
No, I tried to just like put it out of my mind. In the as I got ready for the in the back, I was like, just don't, just stop hitting mitts. Kind of let it rest and don't think about it, because when you get in there and the adrenaline's pumping, I knew I'd be okay. But yeah, it didn't change my game plan or anything. I knew just watching film of the guy I fought my last fight, he was more, really good jiu-jitsu guy. And his stand-up had gotten better. I'd watched early fights and then later fights, and it definitely improved. But I knew, if I get in the pocket with this guy, I could feel pretty confident that I'm going to have an advantage. So um, that was the game plan, just to force him to get in the pocket with me and strike. And I felt like I would have an advantage, and it worked out.
Yeah, he didn't seem like he landed anything clean at all. Maybe a kick to the arm or something like that. But he was also really stationary, so it allowed you to go in there and pick him apart pretty easy. Was it easy? The word easy is like tossed around too often, but was it?
I mean, yeah, it was an easy fight in the end. I love when you get to walk out and you don't feel like a train ran you over. Because I've been on the other side, even in victory. I remember traveling through from southern Brazil back to America in a wheelchair. Um, and the day after the fight, I mean, we had to go home, and I just felt like literally I got ran over by a train, and that was not a fun trip home. And so, yeah, anytime you can get out of there quick, you count your blessings for sure. But I mean, he was a tough dude, and I talked to him after the fight a little bit in the hotel lobby, and was just like, dude, I mean, this is a crazy game, like we could go out and fight again, and he could beat me. I don't know, I don't think so, but he's definitely skilled. He had skills, so I don't know. I try to like, I've never been on the receiving end of a really fast loss like that, but I don't know. I just feel for people, I guess, and I just felt like don't hang your head. It's sometimes not a fluke. It's not a fluke. Everything was, but I don't know. You shouldn't, if you lose a fight quickly or something happens and you get knocked out quick. It doesn't mean that the other guy was necessarily like light years ahead of you. It just he landed something clean right off the bat, and that was the end of it. That's how quick it could end. So.
Yeah, you can't hate him for taking that opportunity, man, because you are a guy with a name, and you fought in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like a win over you would have been huge for him. Now, you know, you get back home after that fight. Do you take like medical procedure or anything to fix the shoulder?
I wanted to kind of see how it felt, you know, and I was thinking maybe I'll go get go through the process of trying to get an MRI, but it's such a pain in the butt, like first you go to the doctor and then they get the insurance company wants you to go get an x-ray and that's not what you need. So then you gotta, and that's just the United States medical system, I guess. But yeah, I thought maybe I'll try to get an MRI, but when I got back into training, it was feeling better. I took a week off when I got back and just took my family on vacation. And then when we came back after that week, I started training again. And it was like, if it starts hurting again, I'm going to go get an MRI. And it never really started acting up too much again. So I haven't gotten one. And like I said, the fact that I was icing it and then it would feel better tells me that it's not like something serious. So I guess I get a little paranoid just because I've torn my shoulder and had surgery on it. And so now, you have that like in the back of your head. But yeah, it's been a good camp. So I haven't had to deal with it.
That's great to hear. And this fight is a little bit less than 3 month turnaround. So you must have known like almost immediately after the last fight that you're fighting John Dodson next.
Yeah, I had talked to the matchmakers for XMMA, and I was talking to him in the cage after the fight, but then also, afterwards that evening, and it was just like trying to get in their ear, like, man, that's the fight to make. That's the fight I want. Now there's just a little bit of a story behind it, and could be a little bit more of a lead up to it, and just trying to get in their ear, and luckily, it resonated, and we were able to make it happen.
For sure. And it's the main event, XMMA 3, Vice City in Miami. Not a bad place to be fighting. John Dodson, has your perspective or your perception of him changed any since the last time we spoke?
No, not much. I do a lot of film study, and especially with a guy like Dotson, who's so tricky, and the things he's good at are so unique to him. Um, I'm getting sick of watching him on film. It's pretty much been two camps for the majority of both camps, and so maybe I learned a few more things, but yeah, for the most part, it's just continue to study and try to figure out what his game is and what I can do to try to beat him. So.
So the camp is back at the pit.
Yep, I'm still here, still at the pit. Brought in a few new guys and traveled around a little bit, but for the most part, just like I said, I took a week off, and talking to the XMMA, whether they were hoping it was going to be Dotson, but they said, we're going to have a show in October, and we want you to be on it. So I knew that I was going to be a quick turnaround, even if it wasn't necessarily going to be Dotson for sure. So yeah, I took a week off and just let my body heal and spent some time with my family, and then got right back to it. So it's been an easy camp in that regard, because a lot of times, especially after long layoffs, that first couple weeks of camp, you're kind of like adjusting, your body's adjusting. Like, well, I'm really sore and I got to go work out again, and all that stuff. And yeah, I didn't really have to go through that process again. It was just kind of more of the same.
Yeah, it's momentum, right? Like that's do you feel that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like when you go on a win streak, like I've gone on like 6, 7 fight win streaks before, and like you feel that momentum. It's a weird thing, but you really do feel momentum when you're kind of things are going your way. And I definitely feel the momentum right now. So I'm just riding the wave.
Yeah, so what does it look like? You're riding the wave into this fight against John Dodson, man. What do you feel like is going to happen in this fight?
I mean, I think I got a hell of a task in front of me. I think John's still a really dangerous opponent. You know, his last fight, he fought Marab, lost the decision, kind of got just out positioned. Marab was able to avoid a lot of the uh, exchanges in the pocket and time his takedowns, even if he couldn't keep him down, hold him against the fence, get takedowns. I mean, Johnson's so hard to hold down. So I think Marab shot, I think 20 shots in that fight. And he only landed a few of them, and they were only for split seconds. But he was able to control position and dictate things. And yeah, I mean, he's been doing the same thing for feels like forever. I mean, it's the same movements. He does the same thing in every fight just about. And so I feel like I'm gonna see the same thing that I've been watching, um, and we've been preparing for it. Southpaws are always a little tricky, but especially John and his footwork and his hand speed. Um, I'm not going to be as fast as John Dodson. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. He's going to have the speed advantage in that regard, but I still feel like my boxing and my ability to figure out my range and use the distance and use the pressure. Um, I'm pretty confident that I could go in there and I could either put him out or beat him by decision and tire him out and grind him out. But man, in my head, I still envision a knockout. Like, maybe it's, and a lot of guys that say that, it's a scary thing to say when I hear guys say that, because you anticipate they're going to go out and they're going to start slinging, like they're just shooting for that big shot, almost like a Tyrone Woodley sits back, and then he tries to hit that big punch. If it doesn't happen, it's sometimes a boring fight, or a guy just swings and leaves himself open. But all my knockouts are not from like me really trying to like lay into a big shot. It's usually something clean and precise and down the pipe, and so that's how I have to approach it. I don't have to search for the knockout. I have to have all my ducks in a row, though. I can't, my hands got to be high. I can't leave any openings, because John's definitely the kind of guy who capitalize on them. So I've got to be diligent about how I approach him. But I really feel like, if nothing else, pressure will be the difference in this fight for me. My ability, and that's what we've been training, just putting a lot of pressure from the moment the bell rings. I'm gonna be, I'm not gonna let him breathe. Every time guys like to reset and they like to circle out, or they like to disengage and reset themselves. And John's definitely a guy who will sit back for a minute and a half to 2 minutes and then explode, and then sit back for another minute and then explode. And he's a sprinter, that's what he is. And I just have to make it a marathon. Like, I have to be no breaks. It's constantly in the pocket, presenting problems to him. So that's what we've been training, and that's really, I don't care if it's one of the things, like, that's my game plan. Like, he could know my game plan, that's fine. He's got to be able to stop it, so I don't think he's going to be able to, but we'll see on Saturday night.
Colorado, the commission out there, they adopted open scoring for MMA and boxing. So basically, fighters, coaches, fans, they will know in real time what the scorecards look like. What are your thoughts on that change and how it will impact fights?
I mean, I've seen both sides of the debate. Obviously, we've got issues in our judging. I think, to me, more, yeah, the idea of open scoring. And so, kind of educate me a little bit. So the basic idea is that fights won't be judged by rounds. It'll just be holistic, like the whole fight.
No, it would be judged by rounds, but between rounds, everybody will know what the scorecards are.
Oh, including the fighters?
Yeah, yeah. If the coaches tell them.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that could add some excitement. I was thinking it was more about the idea of like not scoring fights by round, but just scoring it holistically, like who won this fight, which is an interesting idea too. Um, you see guys try to like get takedowns the last 15, 20 seconds of a round to steal a round, and you're like, is this really fighting? Like, or has it become, I don't know, but I don't really see a problem with, I mean, you're going to get guys coming out swinging in the third round who are down on the scorecard. Sometimes that's already known. A person's losing a fight, obviously, by 2 rounds in the third round. I mean, we saw it with Aspen Ladd a little bit this last weekend, right? She came out, I think, that 4th or 5th round, and you could definitely see a sense of urgency. But, yeah, I mean, if you're down 2 rounds, you might be more prone to take some risk, for sure. But at the same time, like, how many fights have we seen where someone's down all the rounds, it goes into the last round, and not a lot changes in that fighter because they can't do anything about what's happening. It's not like that they don't want to win, but, I don't know, could be interesting. definitely, when you got those, and then on the other hand, you got those tight fights that are 1 round apiece. Now they both know going into that third round what's at stake, or someone that maybe thinks they're up 2 rounds to none, and then they're going to try to coast in that third round and just kind of like not take many risks. Now they're, oh no, actually it's 19-19. You got to go out and win this one. So, I mean, it could definitely add some excitement to the fights. Is it the state of Colorado? It's just one state, so we'll see what happens. I think everyone seems to follow Vegas's lead, but yeah, interesting.
It is. It is very interesting to see if other states adopt it. But like you said, if Vegas doesn't adopt it, they're probably not going to use it, and most promotions are probably not going to go there. Now, the last question. John Jones, he was recently kicked out of his gym for his behavior outside the cage. Understandable. How common is it for fighters to be kicked out of their gyms from your years in the sport?
I mean, completely like kicked out of a gym. I don't come from big gyms, so I don't know the dynamics in some of those bigger gyms. I come from smaller gyms where we really rely on each other, or have in the past for sure. I don't have 60 different guys showing up to sparring day, and I could just kind of pick and choose between a variety of people to spar with or not spar with. So the small gyms that I've been in, smaller gyms, you have those 5 or 6 guys that you work with primarily, and even when they're not in me, Frank, quiet, bud. Sorry. We just rely on each other even when we're out of camp, to be there for each other, as bodies to spar with. So, and there's been times in my fight career where I've gotten frustrated with training partners that, when they're getting ready for a fight and I show up on those sparring days every week for them, and then vice versa, sorry, my neighborhood's apparently waking up around dinner time, but, you know what I mean? Like, where we've been frustrated with people and wondered if they were going to even continue to train with us or whatever. But Frank, that's Franklin Roosevelt, and he's he's my watchdog.
For sure, man. You gotta have one.
Yeah.
You gotta have one.
Well, I got Winston Churchill too. He's
Winston. You gotta pick him up.
Yeah, I got Franklin Roosevelt and Winston Churchill.
Let's see him.
Franklin.
Oh,
This is Frank. He's getting old. And Winston's my lab over there, and he only cares about food.
Dang,
So
yeah. Those are some beautiful dogs, man. Some good ones.
thank
you. Anyways, October 23rd, XMMA 3 main event. Cody, thank you so much, man, for the time. Let's get that win and get you signed, man, to a bigger promotion and get that big money. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it. You have a good rest of your weekend.